welcome to the lobby, GameSpot's weekly hangout every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific right here on GameSpot.com. I'm your host, Daniel Dwyer, joined by Mr. Justin Haywald. How you doing? No, just you today, buddy. Just
doing
you,
good.
You and me. And the Brotherhood of Steel there.
This is a little uncomfortable.
Is it?
It is.
You got your notepad?
I do have a notepad.
You're doing a real Andy Bauman joint here. Like field notes. Is this some sort of, like...
It's a Chicago-made notebook company. Then they're just really nice. I like the
covers.
covers.
It was like a Call of Duty pack-in.
No.
You know that stuff where they had like the RC car?
So it is
drone?
made after, or it's modeled after back in the 50s. You had like traveling salesmen and farmers that had these kind of pocket notebooks, and this what those are based on.
You always have, I wish we had like a series of Justin Haywald's interesting departures in note collecting, because that's a fucking rabbit hole we could go down over and over again.
I mostly write my
diaries.
fan fiction in here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Could we get into that? Is there any Fallout fan fiction in there?
It's all not safe for work.
Great.
And mostly tentacle porn.
Well, that show's coming soon. Check out the Fallout 4 show. It's going to be mostly Justin Haywald's weird fan fictions. Justin, you are here. You are here, Justin, because you are a man who knows a good deal.
I do, and Black Friday is coming up, which means this is the time when we celebrate having taken the country by force and then getting really good deals on some cool electronics. The problem with Black Friday is that it is no longer Black Friday. It's more like 2 weeks of really good deals, and it's really, really hard to keep track of what's an actual good deal.
Because it was Black Friday, and then Cyber Monday sort of spun that off a bit, and now everyone just does whatever the hell they
Cyber
want.
Monday came out. We have all these retailers who are online, but now everybody's online.
Yeah,
it's not like there's a physical retail store. Like, there are some things you can only get in physical retail, but everyone else is like, it makes more sense to do this online. Everything's online.
So first things first, obviously it's a massive part of holiday purchasing. I used to work at retail, and like late November was when people started looking at buying consoles.
And,
so
that's what I tell everybody to wait. Like right now is when you need to have put off getting your console.
Yes, for sure.
If you had not bought it back in the summer, like just wait for now, because now you're not only getting the best deals, but the best bundles. And that's where I think Xbox is really doing well. So last month on the NPDs in the US, Xbox actually outsold the PS4 on the power of so many bundles. And they have a few more options available now, but you can get a $300 Xbox One or a $300 PS4 through almost every store on Black Friday, because everybody is competing with one another to have that same price. So it's a deal you can get basically anywhere. And this is, if you've been putting off getting a PS4 or Xbox One, this is the time to do it. You not only get a $300 system, but you can get a really good game with it.
So $300 for the Xbox One obviously means no Kinect. Is there a game built in there as well?
Why would you want to Kinect? Like, oh no, I didn't get Kinect with this one?
So you can trade it back in and buy the Halo game, you know?
And it's nice to have the voice controls, but...
Yeah, it's not there. So do they come with, like, what bundles are there in terms of, like, games? You know what games to get? I saw there was, like, a Tomb Raider one around.
So the big one for PlayStation is, of course, Uncharted. I think that might be the only one. With Xbox, there's almost every game that you can get with that. There's a bundle for Tomb Raider, there's a bundle for Xbox, there's a bundle for...
Xbox.
Oh, there's a bundle for Tomb Raider. What did I say? Tomb Raider and Gears of War. That is basically Xbox.
I think there's Assassin's Creed ones flying around maybe as well, perhaps.
I think the Assassin's Creed one, you can also get Unity for free.
Great.
They need to get rid of that
one. Yeah, everyone needs a coaster. What about our good friend the Wii U? If you've already purchased the PS4, you got a sick PC, and you've got an Xbox One as well. What is there for the fourth console for your living room?
Well, this is the console that I think everyone else should still own. Like, Nintendo does a great job at making the console that you own in addition to your primary gaming console.
Yeah.
And they do have a really good Black Friday deal going on. It seems similar in price because it's $280 and you can get the other systems for $300, but you get two of the best games.
Oh, what games?
They are Super Smash Bros. And Splatoon.
Oh, okay. Both relatively new as well.
Yes, relatively new. Two of the best games on the system. The only one that it's missing that is an absolute must-buy is Super Mario Maker. There aren't a lot of good Black Friday deals on that one, but I think Target is having a buy it for $60, get a $15 gift card. So ostensibly $15, and if you have the Gamers Club, which is actually a really good deal. I usually don't get into those, but it's like Gamers Club gives you a good discount on those games.
Is that Best Buy?
That is the Best Buy Gamers Club.
Interesting. Last year I bought myself a Wii U as like my sort of gift to me, and I had a blast with it. Especially because there were so many really great games that were discounted by the time that I was picking it up. And on the secondhand stuff as well.
And on the Nintendo side, there's also the 3DS. If for some reason you've been putting off for the longest time getting the only handheld console remaining, there's going to be some decent Black Friday deals. I think you can get that for about $180. No bundles, but the new 3DS XL, or if you were thinking about upgrading to the new, that's such a dumb name, new 3DS XL, the one with the extra buttons on it. That's a good time to do that as well.
Do you have any eye into what Amazon are doing in terms of their stuff? Because they often do a lot of like competing. They see the bundles that are out there in retail or online and other digital stores, and they try and reach some sort of parity there.
So there's going to be all of those same deals you're going to be able to find on Amazon as well. The thing that's going to be interesting for Amazon is they always kind of wait till the last minute to show what their lightning deals are going to be and what the prices and what games specifically those are going to be. Those go so fast, it's really hard for even us to keep up with it because they're just constantly flowing through them and there's so many. But you're basically going to have to wait till that weekend and Friday. And then Monday, like they just do it for such a long time. Amazon's a good place to keep an eye on. I think that for more individual games that you want to pick up. Cool. And there's some really great game deals. Until Dawn, like games that came out this year. Until Dawn for $20.
It's just $20, really?
$20 at, I want to say, Best Buy.
Amazon has it down to 30 since this morning, so that's probably a reaction to
Amazon always reacts to that. They drop their prices as well. Bloodborne is another one you can pick up for $20.
Wow.
It's like
Game of the Year contender.
Game of the Year contender for $20. And some DLC to add to that, so you can pay a little bit more money as well.
So we don't talk about a lot of this stuff on video for the obvious reason that people want to click links and find out what's new. So for people who want to click links and find out what's new, Justin, where's the best place on GameSpot to see all this?
So if you go to the way that we find everything also on GameSpot, because it's hard to find things in our search bar, just go to Google and type in GameSpot Best Black Friday Deals. We have a constantly updated list of those. And if you guys have any deals that you want to share with us as well, you can drop those into the comments. We are looking for good deals to add into there.
Awesome. What are you going to pick up yourself?
Nothing.
You own all the consoles, right?
I own an Xbox One, PS4, and Wii U, and 3DS. And I've played almost all of the big games because I've had to keep up with them. Like I'm going to be spending most of my Thanksgiving break trying to catch up on the games that I just haven't had a chance to.
Well, our Game of the Year discussions are starting next week, so...
Game of the Year discussions are technically starting now.
Oh yeah, that's a fair point. I'm going to pick up Until Dawn because I feel like that's one of those sleeper hits that I sort of haven't spent enough time with. I did some of the beta stuff or the preview stuff before it came out.
And $20 is a great price.
Great price. Well, a great game.
Steam is the other one. So we don't usually get as many good PC deals. Right? Of course, Newegg is one of my favorite stores to go to for PC parts and architecture. For PC games, there's not as many good deals. Steam is getting rid of their old model where they would have, every day they have a rotating sequence of deals and you have daily deals. And it was kind of silly to keep track of them because there was only one deal that was good every day. And you would just have to wait for that deal. And they're completely eschewing that. What they're doing now is when they do their deal, when they're going to do their holiday, their autumn deal, it's going to be for the entire week, these are the prices. Okay. This is our lowest price. You don't have to wait for a deal to come up. So if you want to get up a PC game, as soon as Steam releases all of their deals, that's a good place to check out.
Man, you can get Clockwork Tales of Ink, Glass and Ink for right there, $250. Pick it up while it's hot. Yeah, let's see the trailer. Those hot bangers at Artifacts. Didn't see what the rest of that was.
Bang.
Man, I love Steam. It's the fucking bird.
Did you call them bangers? Isn't that like a sausage?
Hot bangers? Yeah, sure.
Bangers?
That's a regional thing.
The hot sausages?
Games can be hot bangers too. Look at this. Look at these graphics. Like Fallout 4. It's dope. Look at that. All those games and more. Highly positive. 316 reviews there. Came out 2 years ago, but it still got those hot next-gen graphics. Look at that girl. She's so happy.
Also PC exclusive.
PC exclusive, because who else would want it? Clockwork Tales, the Glass and Ink. Now it looks all right. There you go. Steam. It's got a whole other thing going on. While we're all talking about Game of the Years, they've still got all this stuff. Crazy madness. Justin Haywell, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Telling me how to save some money. Let me know, folks, in the comment box below, what do you think of the deals? Is there any console you haven't picked up yet? We're kind of deep into this console generation now, so surely you've already got your primary choice. Maybe you're looking at picking up a secondary one. What is it? Let us know in the comments below. We have a bunch of sections on today, which means we've got a bunch of trailers. And this first one, I can't wait for. Apparently, Arkham Knight got an update. I thought that update was the PC version finally working, but they've decided to put out a trailer for it. So let's check that out.
Can't let him see me.
Face it, Robin. You're half the man he was. Take him down!
What's a Nintendo video game console without a bunch of weird sports games? We got another one. Mario Tennis is back. Scott
is.
Butterworth.
Hello.
Is it good?
Not really.
Great.
That's pretty much the internet
wrap it up.
consensus.
I really wanted my review to just be a gif of me going, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, that really could have been the review. Because
These games seem to fall into two camps. It's as mediocre as you might expect, to this is a surprisingly good one. Like Mario Strikers Charge. This is a surprisingly good one.
Yeah.
Like, what was the tennis game on GameCube? That was one I really liked. I was like,
and the one on 64 as well. The first Mario Tennis on 64 was excellent. Like, I played a lot of that. Actually, I played a lot of GoldenEye and then would alternate over to Mario Tennis when we needed a palate cleanser. So it was a lot of those two. Both of which were incredibly frustrating to play with your friends who are better than you, though. So I don't recommend building friendships on either of those games.
So Mario Tennis Ultra Smash.
It's true.
Ultra Smash.
It's about as ultra as they get.
Was that remember they did that whole DS thing where like it was like every game had like a DS subtitle? Was the Ultra for the Wii U? Is that what they were doing?
Not that I'm aware of.
No,
I mean, maybe you've stumbled onto a really fascinating naming trends that none of us noticed.
Might be reading between the lines. But look, this looks rad. What's wrong with you, Scott? Look, Mario's huge.
It actually
look at all
does
the different
look
types,
pretty
things.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very pretty game, and it's got those flashy trails behind the ball when you hit it a certain way.
You can play two. This is a
two
two-player game. It's like
and I will say that being able to use the
four-player.
The gamepad as a second screen makes local multiplayer a lot more fun because you can just have you have the camera angle exactly how you want it. You kind of want the camera behind your avatar when you're playing, and so this allows two players to have that. So local multiplayers, in a way, benefits from that pretty substantially, even though they don't use the gamepad in any more creative ways beyond that. It's still nice to have that.
A lot of games haven't been doing that. Even from Nintendo, the Wii U gamepad is basically reverted to being a second screen, and so many games I think have just shifted over to that instead of trying to make this do something new or unique or original. Here's a way for you to play this game and let somebody else use the TV because they probably don't want to watch you play this game.
Yeah, I've been playing Mario Maker all weekend and really enjoying that sort of whole experience.
Yeah.
You're saying a lot of nice things about this Mario Tennis game. Why does it only get 6 out of 10? Scott?
So it loses a lot of points simply because it's a very empty game. It's just very bare bones. It's like the least amount of stuff you could put in a game. It's like, okay, we're done. Here you go. It's like there's no tournament mode. There's no real campaign or career or anything.
Oh wow.
There's nothing really to work towards. There's no progression of any kind. You can unlock. There are a handful of weird cartoony courts that you can unlock, and they're kind of fun. But it's really not much to work towards. So the biggest issue is just the game is really empty. There's nothing. The older games, like the GameCube game, had these wild mini games that used the mechanics in sort of interesting ways, and all the characters had different power shots that were unique to those characters. So depending on who you were playing, it would change the experience in some way. But there's nothing that meaningfully changes the mechanics of this game. It's just you can hit a ball back and forth a bunch.
Playing tennis.
Woo! And that's fun.
Yoshi's, look, he's playing tennis.
The biggest thing they added this time was Mega Battle, which is basically a quick play mode in which little toads, who you can see hanging out on the side of the court there, will toss mega mushrooms at you, and your character will grow to supersize for a brief period of time. Yeah. But if both characters are supersized, then it's almost impossible to miss because you're so big, you have infinite reach.
Yeah.
So it just turns into a meaningless volley for a minute as you wait for the other person to shrink. And then if you shrink at the wrong time, you don't have any control over when you shrink back down to your regular size. And if the ball happens to be coming towards you when you shrink, you'll probably just miss it and you'll lose a point simply because of just poor poor luck. I mean, it doesn't indicate that it's about to happen, but even if you knew, sometimes the timing works out that you couldn't do anything about it anyway, and you're just, oh, you shrank and the ball went past you because you're suddenly like have way less reach, and you just get screwed by the game. It's like, how did no one think of this?
But you can add amiibo. Look at all the amiibo.
Yeah,
Is it all?
even the amiibo functionality is like kind of bare bones. Like you can bring them along with you in like the closest thing to a campaign that this game has, which is like a ladder style, playing every character in a row, increasingly difficult, and you can drag an amiibo character along with you for that, and you can actually bring one online.
They just sit on the baseline.
Yeah, they kind of hang out on the baseline, and like anything you miss, they might pick up. Although I experimented with it to see exactly how much help they would give you, and basically, if you return the serve and then just run away, they will pretty much take care of things for you, which is kind of hilarious.
Do they level up faster if you make them do that?
I don't know, but you can level them, which is important. Like if you're really into amiibos, you can actually level them up by playing the ladder mode. And you can bring them online as well, so you have a little like extra help. Like your amiibo buddy online is better as a result of that training.
Although anything that you do with amiibo can only be saved to that one game. Like if you want to use that amiibo then in Super Smash Brothers, you have to delete all of that data. You can't carry it over between games. That's the way amiibo works. So
It'll
like if
delete the data.
Yes.
It won't even just like leave it there.
No.
It'll just...
No, you lose that data. That is deleted from your character. You have to move it over to Smash Brothers.
Not only is your Daisy no good at tennis in Smash Bros, but she's also no good at tennis in the tennis game anymore.
Amiibo still hasn't found that hook that makes it a really good game. And
I think it has, because it's sold millions. Yeah, who's buying all these amiibos?
Oh,
It's a good question, Justin. Who is? Who's buying these? We demand answers.
I only have like 40.
I was really disappointed. I tried other Nintendo characters hoping that there would be like secret character unlocks. No, like it's only the characters that are in the game. So it's like Wario's in the game. If you have a Wario amiibo, that'll work. But like Link amiibo didn't work.
Oh really?
Nope.
But don't you unlock like slightly more sparkly gold versions of all the characters?
Yeah, like you eventually, like when you beat the ladder mode, you unlock like the star version of that character, and like you have a little star icon on the menu. But I couldn't actually figure out how that impacted like what it did.
They glow a little
like
bit.
I would assume that it makes the character like better, but I don't know what that means, and like it didn't have a tangible impact on the gameplay. They didn't really look different, they didn't really play different, so it's like, why did I bother grinding all the way through this like ladder match mode to like...
Well, you're better at tennis. You're a tennis player. You're a tennis pro.
Yeah.
So I think
somehow it didn't feel worth it.
I think it's a problem for Nintendo's, for what people think of the Wii U, that these kind of games are coming out late in the year because they've had a really good year.
Yeah, for sure.
And now we're having these kind of lackluster final titles. Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, and just from Nintendo in general, Triforce Heroes, games that kind of feel half-baked. Like they're good, they're mechanically solid, they look good, they sound good, but there's a lot missing, and it feels like maybe they're rushed out. And I think part of that might be because we're gonna see the NX next year. Because for the longest time, I've been thinking like they're going to announce it next year. It'll come out even later. This feels like they're gearing up to announce and ship the NX next year because these games, they're just pushing these out.
Just get all the wacky sports titles out there.
Especially when you look at like how much they put into Amiibo, and then you have such limited functionality for all of these games. Like it feels like if they were really trying to push something with this, and games that are just missing it entirely, like Triforce Heroes, if they were really something behind these, if they needed them to incubate longer, they would have put all of that functionality into it. And I think they're just getting rid of these titles now to shift over.
Last question for you, Scott.
Sure.
The game seems shallow. It seems enjoyable in some respect, though. It's still got a 6 out of 10 on GameSpot.
Yeah.
Is this something you might consider, recommending people pick up if it hits like $30, something like that?
I mean, it's up to you how much you want to spend on games, right? I mean, for certain people, $30 is still a lot of money. For some people, $60 isn't a lot of money, or $50. So, I mean, it just depends. Yeah, I mean, it did get a 6. A 6 is a fair score. You know, it doesn't mean the game is bad. It just means that it could have been quite a bit better.
Yeah.
The thing that really saved it for me is that the local multiplayer is pretty fun. Cool. I mean, it is a competently executed tennis game with, like, the fun colors of a Mario sports game, you know. So if you have people that you like to have over to your house to sit down and play games, especially like kind of light, fun party games that are easy to pick up and kind of competitive but not too, crazy or in-depth. This is a fun one to pick up for that kind of circumstance. Anything else, probably not so much, but if you're that kind of person and that kind of gamer, this could totally be something that you'll have some fun with.
What if you're like me and you live alone and live sadly and just sit around and play games in your underwear while eating cookie dough?
That's what like League of Legends is for, man.
All right, Scott Butler.
Just kidding, guys, just kidding.
It's all the LOL fans just go at him. You're lucky Travis Gafford was here yesterday. Would have taken.
Oh yeah, there's several people who would punch me in the face for saying
Yeah.
that. I'm glad none of them are on this couch.
Justin, thanks for coming on. Appreciate
you.
it as ever. Scott, as ever, thank you for your review. If you want to read the full review, it's up on GameSpot.com. 6 out of 10 is the score, but make sure you go over there. Check the written review, or was there a video review? We did a 1 minute.
There was
review.
not. There's a 1 minute review on Facebook.
Okay, so there is.
But you have to read actual words to get
You have
the
to
full
read
review.
actual words.
a bummer.
You got to work for it.
Yep.
Let us know what you
Sorry.
think of the latest Mario Tennis game if you played it yourself. Ultra Smash.
Ultra Smash.
Ultra Smash. In the comment box below. Our good friends over at CD Projekt, they made a pretty good game this year, Witcher 3. There's some pretty great reviews for that this year. They also put out a nice expansion pack that's done a little bit well. But then they've decided just to put out this trailer, basically tooting their own horn. Have you seen this?
Yeah, you know who's a good developer? You know what a good game
Yeah.
is? Check this one out. Witcher. We made that.
Does this
Kind
It's
of
just
in the
like-
right.
I mean,
but
it's a great game.
It's weird.
It looked like
Yeah.
a little bit like they made this trailer just to remind everyone while Game of the Year is about to kick off that, hey, we came out 5 months ago, remember that?
It's
was
not a bad
alright?
idea. It's super
not
easy to
bad
forget about this early, and especially now that
Yeah.
February has sort of become like the new holiday season, where it's like, oh, it didn't fit holiday season, we're going to release in February. But then by the time Game of the Year rolls around,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, remember us? So if you think
been a
about it in
while.
those terms, it actually makes a lot of sense. I don't know. It could be a Game of the Year thing.
Not
It
that
could
far
easily
away,
be.
but it could be. Where all our Game of the Year discussions are going to start off, or they have started, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Yes.
going to be getting in a room next week real soon. But until then, here is a trailer made by CD Projekt, which is called, I think it's called, An Epic Year for The Witcher 3. All right, let's check it out. The Xbox 360 is 10 years old. 10 years, gentlemen. 10. Count them. Look at them.
I am also 10.
Justin, are you
Today.
10? No? Ben Howard, are you 10?
I am 10
It's this
multiplied.
many.
Nice. It's been a good long period of time. They're still making games for it.
Still
GTA
out
5
there.
came out on
Yeah.
it. Titanfall, Tomb Raider.
This has kind of been the last year for the Xbox 360. This is kind of when we've seen the transition where we're not getting more Xbox 360 PS3 games. Everything is getting canceled for that in favor of Xbox One.
But of course,
PS4.
now you've got that hot backwards compatibility, so you're going to be able to resell and bundle all 360 games with every remake and sequel.
I think that's really kicked people in the nuts who are working on HD. Like the guys who did Castle Crashers HD. They had no idea backwards compatibility was
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
And they were like,
oh,
oh fuck you guys.
well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Meat Boy just came out on PS4 and everything. It's like, oh, well.
Yeah,
Well,
and
it'll
that-
probably get like FIFA for like years to come, right? I mean, that's
Right.
always like the last few years are just like, here's
Yeah.
like 9 more sports games, like Legacy Edition, or I think Even I want to say this year's games might have been branded Legacy Edition.
Oh, maybe. Well, Call of Duty did the thing where they stripped out the campaign as well.
Right,
Which usually
yeah.
seems to be the big AAA games, and then sports ones are kind
It's
of.
because they're not allowed to call them Shitty Edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they are, but they didn't say. Anyway,
Oh,
we're
I
not
don't
here
know.
to
Did
talk
you
about.
play the campaign?
We're not-
like you
no.
know, it's fine. It's a version without it. You're not missing out.
I was going to play it for Game of the Year stuff, but maybe
Yeah,
not.
no.
Maybe
Okay.
not. Maybe I'm all right.
You're probably okay. There's some neat
you
moments.
probably-
Let's not talk about the sort of the grey years of the console. Let's talk about its wonderful youthful prime. So what were some of the best games?
Red ringing left and right. That
Oh,
youthful
gosh.
prime,
Yeah.
man. The early days of 360.
How many did you go through? How many original 360s
I only had
did you
2
have?
die. I had my first Elite. My launch 360 still works.
Really?
Because
Wow.
I bought an Elite and stopped using it before the first one could break.
Did you have any die?
I had one. I was pretty lucky, I think. I had one red ring, which I managed to wrap the towel around and,
Oh, yeah.
and nurse it back into temporary health until it finally gave up the ghost. But no, I think I was pretty lucky because I only went through one until I
Yeah.
moved on to an elite.
So I also only went through one. In fact, they fixed that one and sent it back to me. But now, because it's a PAL one, and I moved over here, and like none of the games would work, so I had to bring it with me. But it's like I had to take off the faceplate and stuff because the disc drive is so broken that I have to wedge a knife in every time I take the disc out. So now it just looks like it's.
Well, we have a
destroyed.
room out the back which is filled with the carcasses of.
I was gonna say, yeah,
dead
like
Xboxes,
there is some kind of
which,
like GameSpot repository of like
Yeah.
dead Xbox 360s.
Well, they don't want them anymore. We asked Micro when I was at 1UP, we were like getting rid of these consoles. We're like, hey, do you want to take our old original Xbox Ones and 360s? They're like, no.
Can't
No,
say
we don't.
Xbox Ones.
Xbox original.
Original,
No,
OG.
like we have
Yeah.
we have 2 red ring debugs over there. So it's just like, and no one wants those. They're
Yeah.
just like they're useless. So yeah.
Madness. Anyway, not talking about breaking hardware or old ass FIFA games coming out on old consoles. The best games that came out on Xbox 360. When I say that, Jeff, what's the first game that pops in?
I mean, it's Burnout Paradise. I mean, obviously, like you don't bring me on here to not talk about Burnout Paradise. So.
Backwards compatible now as well?
No, it is not.
Oh, it's not?
It is something that they said was coming, but I don't think was part of that initial wave. So unless they've added it past that initial wave, I don't believe it's there yet.
In a weird way, that game is doing stuff now or did stuff then, which racing games now are basically hanging their sort of coats on.
It's yeah, I think so. And there was I want to say it was the Most Wanted, not the original 2005 2006 one, but the
Criterion.
2005, yeah,
or
the Criterion Most Wanted was basically a Burnout game in terms of the way its multiplayer was structured. It's actually one of the sad things about where Need for Speed's been at this past couple of years is like it's just they lost it. They had it and they lost it. They had it all figured out. They nailed it, and then now I've gotten so far away from nailing it that's a great driving game.
Well, they own the rights to Burnout now as well, so
Yep.
shall we see maybe a resurgence? It's one of these games that was super popular with critics, didn't sell an absolute bunch load.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like just the virtue of writing Need for Speed on the box makes it sell more copies than Burnout,
Right.
just because it's a more established brand. So that's why Criterion took over Need for Speed, and then they split off to do Ghost Games and all. So there's Burnout lineage all over Need for Speed now. It's just the wrong parts of the lineage are making its way in now. But I think that's a fantastic game. Gosh, I mean, Halo's golden years took place on the Xbox 360.
Halo 3, wonderful.
3 was a terrific game. Reach is a good game. ODST is a lot of fun. Like kind of those. If I had to pick 3 Halo games, those are the 3, right? Gears I think was pretty transformative.
Gears was a huge one
Yeah.
for me. What drove it for me, I was a PC gamer up to that point,
Yeah.
or primarily a PC gamer, and a lot of my time in terms of multiplayer, which drove a lot of my game time, was playing, early Call of Duty. It was playing Day of Defeat, Counter Strike, in the office on a LAN with friends, and it was Live, which brought me over to console primarily, and Gears was a big part of that. Modern Warfare was a big part of that, but it was primarily the Left 4 Dead games. I mean, those games, when I joined GameSpot CNET back in 2006 in the UK, soon after that, those were the years when everyone in the office would get together as a social gathering online on Friday night and play Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, it was like Gears was one of those as well, like event games where it seemed like
Yes.
everyone was buying them so that they could all play with each other.
Well, and I think the social aspect of multiplayer gaming was, before that, for me, was driven by physically being with people in an office on a LAN. when I played online, and I played a fair bit online, it would be against randoms.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, being able to bring your group of friends together and play online, make a date when you all got home on Friday night to get pizza in and use live, that transformed it for me at least. And I mean, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, those games are pretty impeccable.
Yeah, and like a sort of a crazy, I don't know, showing of just how far multiplayer games have come on consoles, where you had a game like Left 4 Dead, which involves so much cooperation that, you know, people had sort of gotten used to playing with each other so much. It seems like that was better then than it is now. Like, I don't feel like the Xbox One or PS4 like playing with parties.
Well, great co-op
yeah,
experiences.
Yeah, well, yeah, they aren't. You know, the great co-op experiences aren't always happening. And then, I mean, you know, the party stuff on Xbox One was so mangled, and still, you know, they've made improvements, but I feel like it's maybe not where it needs to be. And also, I think, you know, maybe we've changed, or I think people have changed to a certain extent. Where, like, you know, I used to feel okay about wearing a headset while just playing a game, you know, with random people and stuff like that. Like, played a lot of Call of Duty 4. Like, that was, you know, another huge Xbox 360 game for me. And was a little more willing to just kind of even just hear what people had to say.
I plug in a headset.
Oh, how times have
And
changed.
then put it on the ground.
And now it's just like, wait, I don't want to hear anything.
I do not wear a headset unless I'm the only time I ever wear a headset now for multiplayer or any form of gaming is when I'm in a private party with friends. I mean, that's it. I mean, I don't play with randoms.
Yeah,
at all.
and now it's like you hear voices coming out of your TV. It sounds, you know, for
like, where's that
something
coming
that was
from?
like something that was like super ubiquitous and during the Xbox 360
exciting.
lifespan. Yeah,
It was like,
now
wow.
it's like a nuisance. You're just like, what is this idiot? Like, he's talking to someone else, or like worse nowadays, they're running a live stream.
Yeah.
And they've left their chat on to the game, so you're listening to them commentate their own game as they're playing it, and you're just like, shut the fuck up.
What
are
happened
you
to the
doing?
days of watching guys doing cocaine while playing Uno?
That was maybe, if I had to pick one moment for Xbox Live, it was the night I tuned in and saw Xbox Live Vision cameras and like people just straight up Canadians doing lines while playing Uno.
You need to tune into PlayStation Live or whatever that thing is. Some weird stuff happens on there. as well.
Is that still going strong?
Oh yeah,
That's the legacy.
Strong may not be the right
Yeah,
word.
well, very,
Still going.
very strong.
There's a section of society that's drawn to it.
So Xbox Live, I think, changed things, but it was also the achievement points. Like, that was the only time in my life when I cared about these, and was working at OneUp.com and EGM, and we had active competitions to see who could get the most achievement points. And you're just playing all these shitty games like Avatar, things that are going to be like, how quickly can I get 1,000 points for this?
And how many points did you guys get over there?
See, I was never as high as Shu. Like, Shu was our de facto. He was the Dan Shu, editor-in-chief of EGM at the time. He was our hand. I'm up 40,000 now.
46, but I was at 46.
I have two
4 years
accounts,
ago.
so I have 25 on my old
Yeah.
UK account before I moved to the US. But
At some point I dropped off, but that was actually...
Well, you're going to wag your digital dick, though.
Exactly.
What's yours?
Well, mine is now 150,000.
well, I was going to say, if you're going to speak to anyone about achievements, because I remember watching this man from the UK, so I was like...
we ran videos on the site about how to easily get achievement points back
NBA
then.
2K6.
Yeah, like all those early games. But that was, that was like that era of GameSpot. It was like, me and Kerry Guskos and a few other people on staff got super into that stuff. Like Kerry and I bought Japanese 360s so that we could buy Japanese games to get points. Also,
in school, it was like we had friends who never owned a Microsoft console, didn't touch the original Xbox, and suddenly we were all just like going at it at achievements and like passing, like in college, and passing games around, being like, oh, you want this one? It's like an easy 1,000.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
They just made me feel really old, Danny. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, but I had to say college because I saw you recoil when I said school.
But it's like they still exist, but I just don't care. I mean, PlayStation introduced trophies, like okay, I never
like
chased them.
that stuff came in too late. If you had to pick one number pretty early on that one, and it was like, okay, you're adding trophies midstream on the PS3, like whatever. And now that Steam achievements have never meant anything, and
and they never hit reset on Xbox One, so he never felt like you wanted to get back into that.
Right, and also just I think things got muddied in terms of like where the lead platform was and where third parties were kind of putting their efforts and stuff like that. Like Sony's the market leader right now, which I think changes a lot of things for that stuff as well. So but for me it was just strictly like no one was interested in keeping up anymore. It was just like, okay, well, I'm done with this. This is insane. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Oh God, why am I doing this? The only Andrew Reiner at Game Informer I think he is higher than I am.
The leader.
He was one of the
Well, and part of it was
he was
like
crazy.
it was this thing that it introduced into games that made me want to dive into them deeper. It's like if it's a game that I love, I just want to get the most out of it. Like Assassin's Creed 2 is, I think, the last game that I did absolutely everything. Maybe it was BioShock was before that. But it's like, oh, well, I just want to get all 1,000 achievement points, everything for the DLC. What's everything that I can get out of this game? And it was like proving to myself that I have milked it for everything.
Yeah, it was a super interesting like barometer of how much of a game you'd completed. Outside of the sort of the big AAA stuff, though, also on the Xbox 360, we saw the sort of rise of independent development hitting console. Well, actually, probably just across the board, like the real big rise of the indies, but especially being able to play indie games on consoles and games that went on to sell millions.
Xbox Live Arcade was just an amazing platform for these really tiny games that, I mean, we mentioned Uno, but Braid and Castle Crashers, like bringing the behemoth to prominence was because of XBLA.
There was, I mean, the Summer of Arcade was a real highlight of every year while that was running, and I mean, one of my favorite games on the entire years of 360 is Shadow Complex, right? I mean, it's like still waiting for that sequel, right? But you know, there were real highlights that came through the live program, and that did change the landscape because Sony was way behind on that at that point.
For sure.
Totally. And then, you know, it was one of those things that, like, it seems insane now that they limited it to, like, one game a week.
Right.
But nowadays, you know, it's like tons of those games, tons of download-only games are coming out to PS4 and Xbox One, and, like, there's no fanfanfare. Just, like, stuff just appears, and you're like, oh, is that, I didn't realize that was coming
Stuff
to
I've
PS4.
never heard of just appears on
Right.
PlayStation
Yeah,
these days.
with, like,
I was
no marketing, you know, it's just, there's no, it's just, stuff just shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah, it
is
seems
really crazy.
special. They almost felt like AAA games, just like, but like sort of cheaper little, like when Meat Boy came out. I remember everyone was like waiting for Super Meat Boy to come out that morning.
But then, you know, there were definitely weeks where, like, the game was awful, and you were like, man, this sucks. They need to put out more than one game. Like, I think there was a double edge to that.
And it's a little bit behind the scenes, but back then we also had access to all of those games for free. Like, as things were downloaded or as things were put onto the system, we had our debug units would let us just download and play these and try them out, which we don't have now with Xbox One and PS4. But it was like a way to try these out and see, like, well, what's worth it? And just having immediate access to everything, or stuff before it came out.
That stuff was really spotty, because there were games that showed up there that never shipped.
Yeah.
Like, someone was working on an RBI baseball years and years ago, and at one point that showed up and was playable, and it was like, okay, is this ever going to get announced or come out? And turns out no. It never got officially announced. It came out. Like, you know, word of it kind of got out. You know, there's supposed to be an NDA in place to talk about stuff that appears on PartnerNet. I feel like enough years have maybe passed that it's maybe okay now, but yeah, like stuff like that would happen. There was that Saints Row downloadable game that was like the Guide the Bullet thing that showed up there. And I don't think that ever came out. Yeah, that stuff was cool.
And then I guess in terms of the increased power that we saw in those consoles coming out of the previous generation with the original Xbox and PlayStation 2, you know, Just Cause 3 is out next week, and we saw the sort of the rise of the open world game, where, like, you know, GTA 3 had obviously done really well on PS2 and had its own trilogy, but in the time the Xbox 360 was out, we got Grand Theft Auto 4, we got, you know, Red Dead Redemption.
Elder Scrolls Oblivion, one of the early games, was, I mean, that was a real, it's funny, you know, obviously you guys chatting about Fallout last week in terms of some of the technical issues with that game, but at that time, Elder Scrolls Oblivion was the cutting edge, and I remember seeing the initial screens, and then seeing what that was doing running on that new console, which was only a year in at the time, I think.
It's very early.
And it was astonishing. Like,
and it came out at a time that people were starved for something unique on that console, you know? So, like, that came out and people were like, okay, you know, unless they had played Morrowind on the original Xbox or something, they'd never seen anything like that. It's just like,
there were people buying that game who would never touch a fantasy game in their lives.
I mean, that game made Bethesda.
Yeah.
You know, it was in the right place at the right time, and it was just a great game.
And it introduced us to microtransactions with horse armor.
Right, yeah. So many great firsts.
Exactly, in the Xbox 360.
Right.
Okay, let's, before we wrap this up, if you had to pick one, we're coming into Game of the Year territory, which is the horrible Sophie's Choice of trying to figure out what the best game is in a catalog of wonderful games. So going down the couch, if you had to pick one game out of the Xbox 360 that would be your favorite, Jeff, first of all, what would it be?
Oh man, I'm gonna probably stick with Burnout Paradise for the 360. Rock Band, probably one of the Rock Band games probably comes close.
Gotcha,
Like,
that whole thing happened as well.
Yeah.
Justin, what about yourself?
It's probably the Coke, but I guess Uno. Not Castle Crashers. I have so many fond memories of just like sitting with friends on the couch, just plowing through that game. Like I loved Castle Crashers.
Excellent. Ben?
Well, best experience, Left Dead 2, just fond memories, but probably the best game, Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's still Rockstar's best game.
Last time we gave him a Game of the Year as well.
Yeah.
2010? Is that right? It was around the end of the
It was 2010.
console.
I feel like that. Yeah.
Tremendous game. People can't wait for a sequel.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about Bully, though. If we're going to talk about Rockstar's best game.
Oh, Canis Canem Edit.
Yes,
Okay,
Canis
yeah.
Canem Edit. You may know it as.
That's all right.
I guess that did come to 360.
But the best
And
game that came
some
out in
PC.
360 was John Woo's Stranglehold anyway, so
Oh.
it doesn't matter.
Oh, there's
Talk about sleeper
Rockstar
hits.
Table
Yeah.
Tennis, right?
Also,
Yeah.
oh god, yeah, table tennis.
Table
is
tennis
great.
was so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, like that was though. As someone who was colorblind, that game was a huge bummer because it was all about the color. The ball, the spin on the ball was represented by a color, and they had no options for like.
Sure,
That was one of the first games
representing
where
that in different
my wife would literally kind of like, it's so realistic.
Yeah.
This is the future of gaming technology.
Right, this is it. This black room with Jesper looking at you, angry. Guy's a dick.
Excellent. Gentlemen, Daniel, thanks for coming on. Ben, Justin, and Jeff. Appreciate
you.
it.
Anytime.
Let us know what you think of the Xbox 360 10 years later. Are you ready to pick one up? What's your favorite game that came out during...
Now's the time.
I know, right? Yeah, super cheap, and they probably won't break, and if it does, you won't get a replacement. Yeah, what's your favorite game on the Xbox 360? Let us know in the comment box below. All right, gents, I've got 2 more sections, I think, on today's show. We'll talk about a bunch of stuff. Apparently, there's a trailer for new moves in WWE 2K16. Do you know about this?
There are no new moves.
New moves?
It's
Does it involve
moves that they
Dr. Traxxas?
didn't put in. Yeah.
They're activating moves.
DLC?
Yeah.
We're not able to work that out, unfortunately. So.
I mean, you were in a trailer for this game, so you should know.
Go watch the trailer. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Go watch the trailer. Where do you see it?
Let's check out the new moves for WWE 2K16. Star
You guys are just as
Trek.
good as those one dudes.
Yeah, what was that weird?
Pentatonics.
Pentatonics.
Did they
you
do
see
one?
that they did like a all audio thing and they had an orchestra back them up? It was like some American.
The orchestra backed them up.
Yeah.
But all they were doing was go da 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 da.
And then one guy had a ridiculously high solo.
Oh my
Yeah,
god! it was
bet
so
that
high.
meme video got 2 billion views.
Oh, did it have text on it though?
Probably. Star
Not
Wars,
enough.
it's hot. You may have seen it on GameSpot.com or anywhere else on the internet. We've got 3 Star Wars experts here. Rob, the woodsman handlery, Josh Layers Shaw, and Andy NASA Bauman.
That's
Gentlemen, you
stars.
excited?
Yeah.
For what? Battlefront.
For the movie, not
course.
not Battlefront. Who's
course.
still playing Battlefront?
Playing a little bit of it.
Yeah? Kind of wears off, right?
Yeah, we knew that.
Yeah? We knew that going in.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna wait for the DLC, but I enjoyed Battlefront a lot. I mean, it's a Star Wars game. It's the best sounding and looking Star Wars game. I feel like out.
Is it out right now?
Out.
Okay.
Currently.
Is it
Yeah,
the
that
best
just
Star
came out.
Wars
It's got
game?
like the most graphics. I'll give you that.
most
Yeah.
graphics?
it's got
1080.
It's got plenty of graphics.
It's got lots of frames per second. It's a lot of graphics.
Yeah.
But is it the best Star Wars game?
No.
No, I don't. Definitely not.
Not by a long shot.
Then let's go down through it. Andy Bauman,
Yeah.
first
that,
of all.
that title belongs to the classic Rebel Assault and Rebel Assault 2.
Oh, really?
A nice little FMV-driven game on the PC back in the day.
Not expecting this to be the first one.
we did not talk about
I'm just kidding. Well, if you're going off like, at the time, these graphics were insane because it was video. You
Yeah.
can get better
Actual
than video,
video, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But did people think
Battlefront
about
still
that?
hasn't topped that.
Battlefront hasn't topped that.
Let's go back as
photorealistic.
far as we can then. Let's think
Oh,
about,
okay.
well, okay.
X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
Yeah, let's get into when the really good ones start coming.
That's got to be...
1992 and 93. X-Wing,
Okay,
TIE Fighter.
so X-Wing, TIE Fighter, then X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. That whole series was just incredible because what it gave you was a simulation experience of a TIE Fighter pilot and an X-Wing pilot. You do the shields, you link your blasters, you do you power your engines? You freaking fly around and shoot dudes. Like,
And
not
it's
even
still
the flying
Star Wars
in
stuff.
Battlefront is as good as this. Like, this is the best flying.
So like you'd
in a
compare
space,
them.
like not
this
even
is a
for a Star Wars
simulation.
game,
For a space game.
sim,
It's one of the
still
best,
so
like,
good.
Space simulator flying games ever.
And you see, this HUD maybe makes no sense, but like you have your shields there on the bottom left. You can decide if you want
like
full
Wing
front,
Commander.
full back. You can link your lasers there. You can see in the targeting reticle they're linked fire, so all 4 fire at once. Or you can do succession fire. You have torpedoes. You can do these epic dogfights where you're chasing down.
Yeah. Like fighting in 3D
so
is
good.
really hard to do right.
Yeah.
And they
Especially
did it
back
pretty
then.
well. Yeah.
And
definitely.
back then when it was on 11 floppy disks, like this was
Actually,
really freaking
And let's speak to
great
that
game.
with the next games, right? Because these games were definitely like, they felt like they were ahead of the time when they came out. And
Yeah.
when Dark Forces came out in the mid-90s, that also felt like, oh wow, wait, this is like a first-person Star Wars game where I feel like I'm shooting stormtroopers, I'm walking around these environments. And obviously this series ended up, you had Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight, which then spawned the sort of later Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast sort of stuff. But yeah, these old games. Any of you guys play these ones?
Oh, I played the crap out of these games because when my dad went to the software store, the guy was like, "You want to buy this? It's like Doom,
Really?
but better."
So dumb.
Because it is like it's the same style, but like you shoot stormtroopers with the blaster guns, like from the movies. Like it's
Yeah.
insane, like how as a kid you played this and you were like instantly drawn into this so much, and like. There's so many nods to the movies. There's thermal detonators. There's crazy swamp monsters you have to fight. They're really hard. There's like every stormtrooper, every Imperial, and there's like Mon Mothma you're like working for. Like there's so much good stuff in these games, and they're really hard as well.
Yes,
like
not easy.
it's no joke, and they were so much more varied than Doom at the time. Like Doom was like, go here, push the exit, you're done. These like had missions and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
well, like back then, 3 years in, first-person design was like a lifetime.
Yeah.
This was like 1995, and then I think it was 99 when Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight came out, and then we had a resurgence with the Kyle Katarn Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy games,
And those are incredible, too.
Which it's even hard to remember that they were sort of rebirths of those old ones because
Yeah.
those games were so brilliant on their own right. Like third-person
LAN party Jedi
LAN party
battles.
Jedi fights.
Dude,
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like when they
I'm not even a Star Wars fan, and I used to love that shit.
when they introduced the lightsaber into those games, you were like, "How's this gonna work?" Oh my god, they nailed it! Like it's
Right
perfect.
click and you throw it at
Yeah,
someone.
like you have all the
Sick.
powers. You push, throw it. You like in Battlefront when you become
Yeah.
the
Luke,
hero,
Vader,
whatever,
whatever.
and you're like Luke, and you push attack, and you have no control. Like you're just lunging forward with your lightsaber. These you had like epic control. You jump, you do flips, you like nail stuff, you throw it, and you have duels with other. Like it was so fucking good. Like like at a LAN party, there was nothing better than doing things. And like someone would fire a rocket, and you're just like force push it back, and I'm like, nope.
Really?
Like the fact that this stuff was in those games back then was like incredible. And now in Battlefront, you play as Luke and Vader, and you just feel dumb.
Like
Like
two
you feel
seconds.
so dumb.
It's like just
Yeah.
two toys. Like
yeah.
Josh, when you think about good Star Wars games, what do you think of?
Well, there was Shadow of the Empire, right? That's what it's called. I always forget the name. The N64 one, though.
Oh, yes.
I remember like the morning I got the N64, me and my dad like spent hours trying to figure out how to beat the first level. To take out the AT-AT, because I didn't know about the tow cable, because it was the first time I ever held an N64 controller and everything.
Yeah, like, what the fuck is this thing?
yeah, what is
C
this?
buttons.
Wait, I don't hold which handles do I use?
Which part goes in my mouth?
No, wait.
This
Wait, we
game-
were actually saying that.
Well, that's what,
Yeah, it
actually
does.
no. Legitimately, that's what we were saying. Is that this game had the most bizarre cheat code
Oh, really?
ever created,
I have
and
no
my
idea about
parents
this.
thought I was mentally ill when I was doing it because what you had to do was hold down every single button on the 64 controller.
For how long?
You had to hold it all down,
In an order, right? You had to like do it press them in an order.
I don't remember
That
that.
sounds like some the urban myths.
Yeah,
start
maybe
coming
that was
in
the
there.
urban
Yeah, no, but whoever did it was like, let's just make people look as dumb as possible. And then you had to basically move the stick halfway to the left, halfway to the right, halfway to the left, halfway to the right, like 4 times. So at this point, you're like, either your brother had to do it, which was what I made my brother do. He wasn't allowed to play.
We
He
have
was
a
just allowed to-
demonstration here.
Yeah, so, or I would do this. Or I would take the controller and I would put it in my mouth and use my lip as a halfway guard and do this, and do this 4 or 5 times, and someone would come in the room and be like, "What the hell are you doing?
Are you filleting that again?
Like, I want to be a Wampa." Which was what? So you could do that. A Wampa, you know, is the guy that beats up Luke in Empire Strikes Back. It's a big, like, furry white bear.
Cool.
You could be as him. You could spawn them, or just play as one. But the whole thing was, then in the end, you could play as Millennium Falcon, TIE Fighter. You could do all these cool things. But that was like the weirdest.
That's what was so sick about that game is there were so many modes. Like it starts out flying a ship, and then it goes first-person shooter.
Right.
And then it goes. There's like turret modes when you're riding in a ship, the Outrider.
Like good variety.
Yeah.
Speaking of
so
Nintendo
many.
consoles, did any of you guys play the Star Wars or Super Star Wars games on the NES?
No, I didn't have an
SNES?
NES.
No,
A lot of
I
people,
mean,
I'm sure,
I
are
had
going to
SNES.
talk about that as well. Let us know in the comments. If
had
you're a
an
big fan of
NES.
that.
Actually, it just came out on PS4. So
all those, the whole
I had
package.
time to catch
The
it. I
whole
only
package,
played it
yeah.
at a friend's house.
Cool.
But that game was rad too.
Can you buy those separately from
believe you
Battlefront?
From Battlefront?
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure.
Oh, did it just come out
Oh,
on
it's
their
separate.
own?
Separate. It was
Oh,
like
it's like its own thing.
It's like 4 games or something like that. It's a package. I'm
Cool.
not sure how much. I think it's like $10. I don't know.
Anyone here played Republic Commando?
No,
God
I
damn
was
it,
a
that game
PC
was
snob
fun.
back then.
That was on PC.
I don't know if it was.
It
or else
was.
I,
I
would've played
definitely
it.
played
All
it on
right,
PC.
all right.
This was the first person. Like it was basically like Halo ODST.
Oh yeah.
But with
Boba Fett or something?
with
Stormtroopers?
I guess they're not really stormtroopers. They're like Republic Command. So they're kind of like the next
Elite.
layer, right? It was like a 4-player. Oh Jesus! Here's a video I made years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was
up,
a
baby,
4-player like you and 3
game.
other like people. I don't know what the fuck that was about. Here we are. Yeah, you and 3 other
so you're like
Republic
clones?
Commandos, and
Is this-
and the coolest thing was if you killed somebody up front, you get blood on your visor, and it would fucking clean like a laser would just go and clean the fucking blood off your front of your face.
This is like
Okay,
Clone
so
Wars,
this
or
is
Separatist
Clone
era.
Wars.
Whoa.
You see some.
You just like
Yeah,
stab
whoa.
that dude.
Yeah, you can just stab.
Oh,
dudes,
hey, what's
right?
up?
You can stab your own guys.
This looks like Danny O'Dwyer
This is like
gameplay.
new
That is definitely Danny
Look at this
O'Dwyer.
guy. Same
They're
cool.
cheering.
He goes, yeah, this is good. I don't usually
Lord.
play the game killing every single stormtrooper in it, but yeah. See, look, watch with the blood.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Also,
and
there was red blood.
extremely distracting.
Yes. That game was all right.
Cool.
And I guess one of the biggest PC games you want to talk about, Star Wars PC games, though, Knights of the Old Republic. Andy, you played a bunch of that?
Oh, well, that was like the best game I played. Like, I'm sure if I go back to it now, I'll see through a lot of it. But back then, dude, not only was it this sprawling RPG with like amazing decisions,
Yeah.
a great plot twist,
Yeah.
but it was like the precursor to Mass Effect because you're traveling the
Right.
galaxy on this ship. You have companions, basically, you're talking to all of them, doing quests for them, going to all these different locations, doing like quests on those locations. Like, it was so epic. And it was all in, it was like Star Wars, right? It was totally Star Wars. You had a lightsaber. The combat system was like a little bit weird because it was like straight up RPG. You had to like queue up stuff and
Queue up moves
but it was cool. But yeah, it was like basically Mass Effect before they decided to just make their own universe.
And this was set like...
it was like in some, it was like before the trilogy.
super before any
yeah.
of the like Star Wars stuff, right? So you kind of felt like
Yeah.
you could, you know...
Greg Katzman liked it too.
It wasn't like you're rubbing shoulders with fucking, film actors and knowing that you couldn't have that much effect over the world. Like, you didn't know what was going to happen. right?
Yeah.
That's another big thing that turned me off about Battlefront is like you have all the main heroes doing it. Well, like Shadow of the Empire, you were like Han Solo's friend,
Right.
who's basically his twin, but like you're like Dash
Dave
Rendar
Solo.
with your own smuggler ship and your own Chewbacca.
Yeah.
It's funny. I actually just skimmed through Shadows of the Empire because I forgot like what was actually the story about, and it's so cool how it's funny how they just like took just plot elements, you know what I mean, of the movies, and then just kind of filled in the gap. Like,
Oh, really?
And then there's this Dash Rendar guy, who just he's hanging out with Luke and Leia, like he's part of the gang.
Am I right in saying now that literally every game we've talked about today has been stripped out of the Star Wars lore?
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, everything has.
Yeah.
Once like Disney bought them, the only things that remain canon are like all the movies and those kids' cartoon series.
Wait, even the Lucas's...
The prequels are canon.
Prequels? They're canon?
Yeah.
Fuck.
So it's those 6 movies, and then like everything they make now. So any new book or any new comic or any new
Clone
game.
Wars, the show,
Right.
or with Rebels.
So Kyle Katarn doesn't exist in Star Wars anymore?
Oh, that's depressing.
Or the Republic Commandos don't wipe blood off their faces?
They did something kind of cute where they call them legends. So now it's almost like in
myths.
the universe, it's kind of like a little bit of like maybe they're stories people tell each other or something
Right.
rather than actual history.
The stories, are they true?
Remember how KOTOR basically like legitimized going light and dark side because it was RPG? You choose like
Oh, yeah.
like Paragon Renegade. People kind of
Yeah,
Mass
hated
Effect,
because
yeah.
they were
Mass
like,
Effect,
oh, there's no gray area. But it's like in that one, it was like dark side, light side.
All right,
and it totally made sense.
I think I know your answer then. Let's go through everyone. What's your favorite Star Wars game ever made?
Rebel Assault.
Rebel Assault? No,
No,
way.
no. Knights of the Republic.
1 or 2?
I never played 2.
It came out like a year later.
Yeah.
Didn't it? Yeah.
And I just heard the ending was god awful and everything
really?
was terrible.
All right, KOTOR 1.
But I guess it was okay.
Josh Shaw.
Rogue Squadron on GameCube.
Oh, so
Okay.
good.
Oh, really?
GameCube.
So good.
Yeah, I like because you have the B-wing in that one, and there's like this like shield that would come down to highlight enemy shifts. I don't know, it just felt like you were really like in control of one of those things. Had all your own little buttons and stuff.
God, the best thing about I just want a GameCube so I can just put a disc in. Remember how good that felt?
They're
That
this
little
big.
one.
Little
guy.
little
This
one.
Tiny
yeah.
little
Fat
disc,
little hole in the middle. He's go done. It was like mini discs. Felt good.
and it had a handle. You could just pick it
Yeah,
up.
you pick it up.
Take
Couldn't
it to
play
your
DVDs
friends.
on it.
Portable.
Remember, because like the whole reason to get a PS2 is it was also a DVD player.
You couldn't fit a DVD in it. It was like
No.
the size of a DVD.
No.
Rob Handlery, favorite Star Wars video game?
Rogue Squadron 64.
Okay.
And
Like
it's
five
funny, you were
apples.
mentioning like TIE Fighter and X-Wing and all those.
Yeah.
Like, and where I think this movie is getting me really excited was because I did read a bunch of books growing up, but that game worked me so well as a kid and made me so excited because it was like X-Wings and ships in atmospheric landscapes.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah.
Right?
Right, yeah.
So when you see the trailer for the first time and it's an X-Wing booking across the water, causing the water to steam up and ripple, it's like, you know, you just get Rogue Squadron vibes. And
Rogue
it's like,
Squadron,
oh yeah,
that's so cool.
But
Wedge
that game,
Antilles.
Yeah,
that game
you
was
had
so
Wedge
cool.
Antilles, and
Wedge
you had like
Antilles
these
guiding
kind
you
of,
through,
yeah, you had these like background characters that were so sick. Like, and there was Luke's co-pilot, like Dak, right?
Oh yeah.
Dak.
Before he died in the Battle of Hoth and
Right.
stuff. All these like really cool, all the Rogue
Dude.
Squadron characters.
What's the
Yeah.
one game nobody mentioned?
Probably missed a fuckload. Pod Racer.
Pod Racer.
Well, we were talking about Pod Racer.
It's working.
I really like for how much
This is pod racing.
like
Let's
how
try and roll.
disappointed we are of that movie. Like that game was awesome.
That game
Fucking
was so good.
oh,
I can
so
do the
good.
Boost impression. Sound
Do it.
Can you do Sebulba's engines though?
No, that game. 100%.
I can do the
I beat that game
sand
100%.
people. All right.
I also love how no one ever mentioned any of the numerous film tie-in games that came out for
Yeah.
that series, which almost ubiquitously sucked. I'm sure there was like
Oh,
one or two
yeah.
good ones in
That's
there.
the problem.
Man,
with those,
I worked in retail when they brought out like some of the ones for like the prequels, and they were on every platform. Like there was like 7 different versions.
Dude.
All sucked.
What about like Disney Infinity?
It's not a Star Wars game.
No.
Disney Infinity 3.0?
Yeah.
I mean,
count?
it's like Jack Skellington's in your Star Wars game. Then maybe.
It's like those, I don't know, I didn't watch those kids shows, but it's kind of cool if you had a kid, be like, here, play
Yeah.
Star Wars stuff, but
Yeah, stop
it's
bugging
not
the kid.
really for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to get your kids Star Wars toys that aren't like super nice Lego sets that I'm keeping.
I like it. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on and talking all about Star Wars. That film's coming out pretty soon. That Game Done
God.
came out last week. So to keep up in touch with all of your hot Star Wars video game and film news, stay tuned to GameSpot.com. Let us know in the comments what your favorite Star Wars video game is and why we are wrong. All right, we're going to be back in a second. Eric Tate's coming on to show us all his Bloodborne gifts. But before that, here's a trailer for Republique. It's the European trailer.
Peggy 16.
Republic is a campaign-rich experience where players are center stage in a multi-layered political thriller.
Republic started off as sort of a nostalgic remix of some of our favorite survival horror games on PlayStation 1. And what it's evolved into is this fearless take on story-driven games that you can't find anywhere else.
Republic is about a woman named Hope trapped inside a secret totalitarian nation, and it's your job to help her escape.
Republic is not only about immersing the player in a story, it's about making them a central figure in the fiction.
The game takes place in a secret country called Metamorphosis. By connecting to Hope's stolen mobile device, players hack into the network of Metamorphosis and guide Hope to freedom.
So Hope and the player are going to experience many hardships along the way. But for us, it was really important to always bring it back to Hope. Who she is, what's important to her, and who she's becoming along the way. At the heart of the game is the player's relationship with Hope. We've built every encounter and every puzzle around this mechanic. After 3 years of development, we have readied all 5 episodes of the game, and we're packaging them together in one epic, long-form experience on PlayStation 4. So we've spent the better part of the year reimagining the game to work with the DualShock 4 controller.
We've developed a console-friendly UI, an all-new cover system, and implemented hundreds of tiny fixes under the hood to make Republic on PS4 the most seamless experience possible.
We put our heart and souls into the development of Republic, a game with an incredible amount of content built over the span of 3 years.
So with 5 unique episodes, a script as long as a 400-page novel, over 50 tracks of music, and voiceover performances from legends like David Hayter, Jennifer Hale, Dwight Schultz, Republic has been a labor of love, and we just couldn't be more thrilled to see it all come together in a complete package on PlayStation 4.
Republic.
Say a word in French, Erte.
Bonsoir.
Sure. Say a word in French, Mike Mahardy.
Merci.
Yes. All right, let's keep going.
Bonjour.
No, he goes next.
Oh, you could take that one. If
No,
you
you
want.
done?
Got nothing. You could have just taken bonjour. I went out
You
of
could have
turn.
said bonjour.
That's fine.
You could say ordinateur,
What?
computer. Jeu video. Say jeu video. It's video games.
Jeu video.
Jeu video.
Or-
Say jeu video.
Jeu video.
We had a back and forth where we had a say it in
Chinese.
Chinese and Irish back and forth.
And I couldn't say milk.
Couldn't say milk. Can you say milk now?
Yeah, nai.
I think
Nai?
Spanish
Yeah,
is the
that's
one I
close
know
enough.
most aside
Yeah?
from English.
Say milk in Spanish.
Leche.
Leche, right? Yeah. Leche.
Or
Leche.
videojuegos.
Videojuegos.com. That's a website that you're not currently watching.
Nope.
Stay tuned here, though, because we're going to talk about video games in just a second. Bloodborne came out earlier this year. Eric Tay, Mike Mahardy. The expansion pack, the Old Blood, came out last night, correct?
Hunters.
Old Hunters.
The Old Hunters.
That's Wolfenstein.
Damn it, Wolfenstein, get out of my brain. That game was pretty good, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the hard-on of God for Old Yarnam. Does that work? That was part of the PR press release, I think.
Really, was it?
You've been playing it since last night, the expansion pack.
I've been playing it for longer than that.
Oh, have you?
I was playing it since last night.
Oh, really?
He's been at it for like a week now.
We'll get to you in a minute.
Okay.
Mike Mahardy.
Yeah.
Eric,
you
tell
wait.
me about these hunters. What's going on?
So basically you're kind of like traveling in a way back, or like not back, but you're going into the hunter's nightmare.
Okay, so still in Yarnam, it's still in the same.
It's kind of still in Yarnam, but it's all like slightly different. It's all like, I think to use Miguel's word, the reviewer's word, it's like doified.
Okay.
So like here you go, you can see it here. It's all like kind of just, I guess the desert. It turned into a desert, whatever.
Yeah.
But so you see that I'm fighting a hunter there, and basically what's happened is a lot of these hunters that are in the hunter's nightmare are just super bloodthirsty, and so they just kill anything on sight. And so
It's
you kinda
way
have
more
to-
aggressive then?
Yeah. So you have to deal with a bunch more of them that you didn't have to in the original game, as well as other monsters. But yeah, it's kind of more Bloodborne. It's cool. I like it. There's like a bunch of new weapons.
Yeah, what's in it? Because I think originally wasn't this is actually a makeup of 2 different DLC packs that then it sort of decided, oh, actually we're going to bundle these together, add a bit more content, and make it an expansion.
So there's not going to be another expansion. This is like the only one for
Yes.
Bloodborne, and I think it's like over 12 primary like right-handed weapons, and then there's like, I think 5 like secondary weapons, which are like your gun. There's a Gatling gun. There's a church cannon. That's one of the new weapons, a bloodletter.
Is there a good variety in these? Because obviously one of the really important things about these games is that the weapons do like change the sort of cadence and rhythm of combat.
Yeah, there's definitely a wide variety of weapons, to suit different players' needs if they want agility or strength. There's a little bit of more arcane stuff, not too much, but a little bit. And that's kind of what Bloodborne's about, because it's not so in-depth in terms of like Dark Souls stats, like that was a big thing where, you could really tweak a build. You can kind of do it here, but not really. It's the weapons that really change
Look at that
how
nonsense.
you play.
What the fuck is that thing?
Yeah, so the Amidala arm there is kind of like those aliens you saw, but it's kind of like a little piece of it. So it's an interesting kind of like mace type thing that also has like a tentacle type thing.
That's the saw that they had in the people were sort of pausing on the trailer as well.
Yeah.
New outfits as well.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 sets of new armor. There could be more. I haven't like found all the secrets. I think that's one of the cool things about Bloodborne is that even though I beat it, there's all this stuff I'm still finding and still trying to find. And yeah, so cool stuff though.
Excellent. Mike, what are you thinking about?
I got to the first boss, and died on my second try, and I got semi-close when I was talking to Tay. I know, like, I don't want to spoil anything about any bosses, but yeah, it's definitely more the same, which I was completely looking for. I was looking for an excuse to get back into it after New Game Plus, but I took so long to, you have to beat, I don't know, is that like a spoiler?
Yeah, it's out. No, it's totally out there.
So you have to beat Vicar Amelia, this one of these bosses, kind of like early game bosses, in order to get to it, and I was spent so long on her that by the time I got to the expansion last night, I was exhausted, but I got to the first boss, and it's like he said, like you see way more hunters, which are always they're like
pretty tough.
Formidable, yeah. And it's very weird because I'm so used to everything from the first game. I played through it, 2 New Game Pluses, and then now
really?
Yeah, now that I have a new like area to explore, it's a little more back to how I felt when I first played Bloodborne in the first place, like just way more unwelcoming. I don't know what's around the next corner. It's kind of unsettling, but in a great way.
So I, never played any of the old games, and there's a bunch of people here who've got like, lots of love for Dark Souls, Demon Souls, and then played a bunch of this as well. I never completed Bloodborne, but I adored it. Like, really had a great time with it. Is there anything in this for me, or is this very much for people who have completed Bloodborne early in the year?
I would say this is mainly for people who've completed Bloodborne. I think it's the first boss. I think the first boss here is one of the more challenging bosses in like Bloodborne itself, because there are a few bosses I could see having as much trouble with in the main game. But I mean, you could jump into it if you wanted to. If you haven't beaten the game, I would definitely recommend beating the game first, and maybe starting a new one or just doing it in New Game Plus. Although the latter is going to be a little harder, I think.
And how much do you think is in this one, say, like in terms of, it's
like
been
hours?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
Sure.
without getting that weird about it, but like, yeah, it's been like 8 months or whatever since Bloodborne came out. It was back in March now, so like, is there enough here to get you going for another couple of weeks, or is it pretty shallow?
Weeks is kind of a stretch, I would say. I mean, like if you play it slowly, maybe like weeks. I would say for me, I've hit in the teens. I did struggle with some of the bosses. Some people may not. They do have like a new system where you can call on like these co-op AI hunters in the game that you couldn't do in the past. Like so in the original version, the only way you could really get help was you had to ring your bell and hope that somebody, I think there was like 10 levels around you, could come and help you. But this time around, for maybe some of the players that were struggling or something like that, they have a way to do that. So, but it got me in the teens in terms of like hours played, and there's always little secrets that, depending on how like much you want to figure them out, like they will add hours to the gameplay. That's what's getting me back into it right now, is like trying to figure out which weapons are good. There's so many weapons now. Like the weapons is part of the replayability of Bloodborne, because you can't level them within one playthrough. You can really only level like one really solidly to max level, and then it's like, well, I kind of want to try this other weapon or this other build or something. Yeah. So it's up to the player at that point. But yeah, I think it's pretty solid though.
Bloodborne,
sure.
The Old Hunters, 9 out of 10 on GameSpot.com. Before I let you guys go, our Game Media discussions are ramping up. We're getting almost into December. We're going to be having some real fun chats next week. Where does Bloodborne lie in here? A lot of people aren't saying it's like the best game that's come out, but it's certainly up there, right in the top like 10 at least for some of the best games that have come out this year.
Yeah, I think I'll just go first, but like I think for both of us personally, for both of us, I think it's within our top 10 for this year. I never played
top 5.
I don't know. I was actually like messing around with the list a little bit this morning, and it might be for me. I never played a Souls game. I was always kind of afraid. It was something that looked kind of like a huge time sink, something that could frustrate the hell out of me. And I don't
you're
know
somebody who plays a lot of like Diablo. And
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that,
I get into grindy games and stuff like that, but like I don't know what it was about Bloodborne that drew me to it. It just seemed like, oh, this is kind of like Dark Souls, but like way faster and more action oriented. And I just love the combat. Like you feel rewarded when you do something really like amazing, you perfect dodge, or like when you wait and you learn the moves and the subtle nuances, and you're like, okay, he's gonna do this. Bang, shoot you with a gun, stick my arm through your chest, and you just feel good like when you do that. And that's what Bloodborne gave for me. And it was frustrating at times, but I knew why I died. Like it was like my mistake. If I like panic dodged or like was spamming dodge too much, I would get hit, and it's like, yep, I totally deserve that. And there's something about that kind of game that just drew me in, and it's probably in my top 5 this year.
Cool, tough but fair. Mike, what about yourself?
Yeah, I definitely put it in my top 5.
Cool.
I I've been playing it throughout the year still with New Game Plus, and kind of one of those games I've been going back to throughout the year. And like Tay said, the combat is satisfying. You always feel like it was your fault. Unlike the Dark Souls games, which a lot of times can kind of throw these curveballs at you, it always felt like it was really you could master it and get through it. And also, I think the level design itself is just unreal. Between just finding a new lantern and a shortcut is as much a victory almost a lot of times, like maybe not as much as killing a boss, but it's up there.
Cool. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Bloodborne, The Old Hunters, out now. If you're a Bloodborne fan, go pick it up. Let us know what you think of it and Bloodborne's chance at Game of the Year in the comment box below. All right, that was a bumper-ass motherfucking video game show right there. Guys, thanks so much for coming on, chatting to us.
Yeah, giveaway.
Giveaway.
Got it, man.
Mary Kish screaming from the back.
I had your back, Mary. Just want you to know.
I can't even. I thought we were talking about a Wolfenstein expansion this whole time. Don't even get me started on the giveaways. We got a giveaway.
Sick.
These look familiar. Oh yeah. Me and Andy got these at the Overwatch preview event back in like 2 months ago or something. I think it was.
I tell you, man, these were the hot
They
ticket
sure were.
at
Yeah.
BlizzCon.
There was a lot of Twitch streamers taking photographs of them about their free gifts.
What's that? Halo. Yeah. Is it Halo?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yo, Kish, look at this thing. Follow and retweet at GameSpot for a chance to win Overwatch Hitty and the Halo Dark Gun. Is this the same one that Chris had in that video?
Yeah, just show her.
I'm gonna open it.
Better
I'm gonna
than
open it.
Showing us.
I'm gonna open it.
Oh yeah.
Dart Gun Battle Pack?
I shouldn't open it because it's got
right here,
plastic
right?
on it.
It's
Is it right here?
I think that's the little.
You got it right here?
Man, they really.
They really closed this thing up.
But this one.
She'll give this away without showing it. If we don't have a picture of the Dark Gun, I mean, you mightn't want this Dark Gun. Tay's gonna open it.
Am I? Okay. I can totally do that. Sorry to whoever wins this.
I think this one's already been taken off.
Did you?
I think. Oh, I heard it open.
Oh wait.
Chris did a video on the Needler, which I'm not sure if that's what this is.
You can't do it this way. You can't do it this way. How many minutes will it take to open a box? Do you have
It's gonna
that?
tear this thing apart, aren't they? Is that what's gonna happen? Yeah, you can do it? Show's already too long. Let's keep going.
I'm not being too helpful.
Mike, you're giving us. Oh, here we go. It opens in a weird way. It's an unorthodox box.
Oh, there you go.
It did this.
Oh, it was open on this side. Stupid.
Those are awesome.
I can see your halo. Look at that shit. UNSC M6 Blaster, Covenant Plasma Overcharge Blaster. Blaster is what you say when you want to sell a gun to kids but don't want to call it gun. Check them out. Halo, Boomco, Slide Action, Eric Tay.
Yeah.
Look at that. Get one for you and your buddy. Go dual wielding on your friends and your enemies and your frenemies.
Dude, I want this Covenant Carbine Blaster.
Imagine doing that wearing an Overwatch hoodie. You confuse everyone. Brandalism.
Yeah, it's all right. The kids don't.
Kids don't care.
They don't care.
Not all on Snapchat.
If that's the Halo 1 pistol,
doing
it's
fist
stuff.
tech. You like that?
Perfect.
You like that one? There it is. Eric Tay's endorsing it. There you go. Tay Spesh. Halo Tay.
This isn't Destiny.
This isn't No, it's not.
Where's the Destiny Hawk Moon
your Overwatch
special?
hoodie.
This is Destiny. You'd have to. These would blow up every time you use them.
This
You have
is-
to pay $10 for more.
Those
of
are
them.
nice sweaters.
It's a
though.
snap, like there's snap buttons and a hood.
I know. It's legit.
And
If you want to look
and
like
then-
you're from Overwatch University, you get yourself that.
That one's
Yeah.
a medium.
It's a
I
medium.
feel like this is what like the Overwatch University
That's Andy's
marching
one.
band would wear.
Yeah, exactly. If
It's a
you want to
cool-
be part
it's a cool
of
thing.
OWU, yeah, follow GameSpot on Twitter and retweet that thing. Mike Mahardy, Eric Tay, thank you so much for modeling all of our giveaways today. Thanks to everyone in the back. Mary Kish, Josh O, Dan Mahoric. Eric Tay, you're not back there. What's going on?
I don't know. Sometimes we're up here.
Sometimes we're up here. That's how we roll. We're done this week on the lobby. We'll be back next week. It's our final lobby on this set next week. We're also recording a bunch of hot Game of the Year stuff next week as well, so stay tuned for that. But we'll be back same bat time, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on GameSpot.com. See you then.